Hi everybody, I'm here with pre-release alumni and senior UX designer for MTG Tabletop from Wizards of the Coast, Daniel Holt. Hello.
Hello, excited to be here.
Yeah, now Daniel's here not just because he was on a pre-release once and we like him, but because while many people across many different teams work together to bring any set of Magic the Gathering to life, in the case of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Daniel was on every one of those teams?
Basically every one of those teams. And since the day I got hired, I've been begging for the return.
That was after you were here for the PPR for Throne of Eldraine, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Among the things that we knew about you after you left the Moonbase was, boy, that guy's a real big fan of Kamigawa.
I think it was actually right after that pre-release that we found out we were returning to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, we sure didn't. We wouldn't know for a couple of years after that. But we thought it'd be nice to bring Daniel back, virtually, remotely, of course, and talk a bit about that over a game of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Sealed. We've both got pre-release kits. This is a different deck than the one I put together for the PPR, and we're going to be playing a little game of Magic while we talk about it. I want a die roll, so that's nice. So I'm going to start off by playing this Uncharted Haven tapped and naming black. And while we do that, talk to me a little bit about just your love for Kamigawa in general. The original, before we even knew that we were returning to Kamigawa, talk to me a little bit about why you like Kamigawa so much.
Yeah, Kamigawa is where I started. Back in 2004, I played some other card games, and then I shifted into Magic. I think it was the end of 5th Dawn. That's the third set in Mirrodin block, I believe. So I did like one draft of 5th Dawn, but then it was all Kamigawa all the time. Back when you're a teenager, you just have all the time in the world to play these games. So I was just, in my friends' rooms playing all the Kamigawa cards we had. We couldn't buy them every week. We were teenagers. So we just had to keep playing with the same cards over and over. So I think that nostalgia really founded my love of Kamigawa, and then we just haven't been back in forever. Forest. I got the old school Kamigawa Forest. I don't have enough of the new ones yet. And then I'll pass.
So this isn't something that you pushed for then. This was something that you found out about that someone else decided.
Oh no, I pushed.
Okay.
Day one in the office, I'm like, hey, Kamigawa will win. And then, even the creative league got so tired of me asking. She's like, every time you ask for it, I'm going to push back a possible return another year. And I was like, okay, well, I'm still going to keep asking. And then, as I talked about during the roundtable, there was just a random gap right after the 2 Innistrad blocks. And Doug Beyer was like, it needs to be this, it can't be that. And one of the things was like it needed to be a more colorful world because we just came out of 2 Innistrad sets and we're going into Streets of New Capenna next. And I was like, you just described Kamigawa, let's do it. Why not? And then that's when we started the exploration.
Sweet. All right. I'm going to play one of those forests that you mentioned. And I'm going to tap both of these for Teachings of the Kirin, which is a saga. Mill 3 cards and create a 1/1 colorless spirit. So get a Fang of Shigeki, a Swamp, and a Greater Tanuki. No, my Tanuki.
I'm more afraid of the rare you just cast on turn 2.
Yeah, and I even have the token, so that's exciting. This set has sagas that turn into creatures, artifacts that turn into creatures, creatures that turn into equipment. What? There's so much happening in this set. Can you talk a bit about why all of the things are happening at once? Also, it's your turn.
Thank you. So there's a lot of parallels in the set. Pretty early on, we decided it was going to be artifacts versus enchantments, a whole tradition versus modernity as we're progressing into the future. So the artifacts represent that futurism. Enchantments are the spirit world connection to mortals. Things like that. So there's a lot of parallels you'll see like that. Like the sagas becoming creatures kind of parallels vehicles being sometimes creatures. Same for the artifact equipments. We have the shrines that are now creatures as well. Speaking of which, here's Goshintai, a boundless vigor. It is just a 1/1 right now though. And then I will pass.
All right.
We actually did a lot of exploration with the sagas that you just played. A lot of options, like that's where the UX comes in that I do, testing of what layout we want to do. And there were a lot of single-sided options. We even tried flip cards, from original Kamigawa as a throwback to that. But we just decided the cleanest way was to do DFCs again, just because like it's a lot of text.
Yeah, I mean, now that that sort of door has been kicked wide open, I don't see there's any reason not to just do more double face cards.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think flip cards are a little dated. I know there's a lot of fans of them. You know, I still love them. I play a few in Commander, but we have DFCs.
They are crowded. They are very visually crowded. So my Saga rather put a counter on the only creature I control, which is this spirit. And then I'm going to play a swamp, and I will go to combat, and I will attack you for 2 with this thing.
I will take 2, down to 18.
Right.
What does the back of your Saga do?
That's a great question. I don't actually remember. It's going to happen next turn. It turns into the Kirin Touched Orochi, which is a 1/1 Snake Monk enchantment creature. And whenever it attacks, I exile a creature from a graveyard and make a spirit, or exile a non-creature from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on a creature I control.
Great.
But it's only a 1/1 by itself. I have, by the way, my own shrine, though. So I also have the Goshintai of Boundless Vigor.
Oh, no.
And then I'm going to move to my end step, and I will pay the 1, and I will put 1 counter on this 1 shrine, because I only have the 1 shrine. But this one seems to operate pretty well by itself. They all seem to operate pretty well by themselves. Also now, an enchantment can be a commander? You could have a shrine as your commander? I think this will probably be airing during the PPR after I will have already played with my deck, which I haven't played with yet at time of recording this, and I already think I like this deck better.
It's off to a fast start. That's what happens when you play a rare on turn 2.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess results oriented is really what I'm working with at the moment.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to arrest your shrine.
No.
Oh, I guess I'll just put that over here.
Yeah, I'll just move it to the side.
Webcam commander.
Yep.
Webcam gameplay.
We've all gotten used to it.
So I have a 1/1 that I'm still not going to be blocking your 2/2 with. I will swing at you for 1 then.
I will take 1.
The sagas were they're probably my favorite part of the set, because I did a lot of research beforehand. I read all the short stories, all the novels, just had all these notes taken. And the sagas were where I got to tie back to the past. You know, the living historians are telling these stories, and I get to make some popular characters show up. You know, maybe the Kirin one isn't the best example of that, but that Kirin story is specifically based off of one where we see the 5 monocolor Kirin talking together and about how they're interfering with mortal lives.
While I go to combat and hit you for 2, and then after combat play this very exciting defender, how about you talk to me a little bit about why we're so far in the future now?
I'm so glad you said after combat and not I have ninjutsu. We're so far in the future because canonically Kamigawa is 1,200 years in the past, the original set, so now we're more modern day. Like now we're caught up with the actual Magic timeline.
Okay, so the current set, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, is now contemporaneous with other Magic sets.
Yeah. One of the short stories...
They're just way more advanced.
Yeah, one of the short stories during Kaladesh, Eldritch Moon block was a Johnny going to visit Tamio during current day Kamigawa. And that canonically is just a few years ago. You know, that's where we taught Nashi, her Nezumi's son, for the first time. So you left mana up. You also have a 3/3 defender, so I can't do much against that.
It's a 3/3 defender that in certain situations can also be a very expensive plummet.
Yes. Channel's back.
When was Channel seen originally?
That's original Kamigawa as well.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
When updating Kamigawa, how did you, and by you I mean like the royal you of the whole team, decide which things to revisit and which things to leave in the past, like Arcane and Soul Shift?
Okay, you're talking specifically about mechanics. You know, we looked at it all. It's a little silly, but, you know, the set lead was Dave Geyer, and when we first got into set design from Vision Design, I said, hey, this meeting, let's do a draft of original Champions of Kamigawa. So I had them print off some playtest cards, and we actually did a draft of Champions of Kamigawa. We brought the AD Zach Stella and the lead creative Emily Tang in. I just wanted everyone to get a feel for this thing that I loved, and I want them to try to get a feel for what we wanted to bring back, that evoke that emotion. And then with the actual gameplay stuff, we tested a few things. You know, Bushido didn't test well. because we just applied that across all samurai, so it wasn't a really good thing to bring back. Ninjutsu was loved, so that was immediately on the table. Something about that though is we tested some things where like you got to keep your equipment on the new creature because we were modifying stuff, so we were trying to help auras and equipment stick, but it was just a little messy. I'm ending my turn, and I'm going to put a counter on my Go Shintai.
All right. Oh, right. I forgot to do that.
You should
well.
just do that.
It's sure. We'll say retroactively I pumped up my Shintai. I have no idea if I have any enchantment removal in this deck.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe we'll find out. Kind of wish I hadn't named black mana on this Uncharted Haven now. By the way, Uncharted Haven, this is a new card, right? I'm not just forgetting this from a Secret Commander product or something?
Nope, it's new.
It's very clean. It's such a clean design. It's just what color do you need? There it is.
Yeah, I think it's similar to the Jumpstart lands, which I really enjoy those as well to help make those booster packs work together.
I will go to combat. I will attack with both of these things, the Spirit and the Kirin-touched Orochi. And so when it attacks, I will exile a creature from a graveyard. No, I'll exile a non-creature card from a graveyard to put a +1/+1 counter onto itself. So I'll exile this swamp from my own bin and make both of these 2/2s.
Iganja, Seed of the Empire.
Oh.
Channel for 3, it deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. It costs 1 less for each legendary creature I have.
Oh.
So it's dealing 4 damage to your Saga.
That makes sense.
That's a phrase,
Saga.
isn't it?
Yeah, you've killed my Saga. Well, then I feel like I got to do this just because it seems like it would be fun.
1 to 14.
I do. No.
Are you ninjutsuing?
I am ninjutsuing.
All right, still at 16.
Nashi. Moon Sage Scion.
Oh, no.
So whenever Nashi deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of each player's library. Until end of turn, you may play one of those cards. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So you take 3.
I take 3, down to 13.
And then top of my library is March of Wretched Sorrow.
Oh, jeez. I got Besiege reaches skyward.
Oh, wow. What's that even do?
The first chapter searches for 2 basic forests. Second chapter puts 1 land from your graveyard on top of your library. And then it flips over to be a reach creature that gets +1/+1 for each land you control.
Well, I think I'll take that.
That's very fair.
Luckily, we have one of these kicking around. So I will pay 4 life to cast Boseiju Reaches Skyward. And then I'll go looking for 2 basic forests and reveal them and put them into my hand.
Yep.
So there's one of those. It's a fairly normal forest. Actually, wait a minute. I'm going to put this back in the library. I'm going to take these 2 fancy forests. At the end of my turn, I will make my... I don't think I have any enchantment removal in this deck, but I'll just keep making my shrine slightly larger.
What is Nashi's power and toughness?
A 3/2.
We will Master's Rebuke. Target creature I control deals damage to power equal to its power to target creature I don't control. So 2 damage to Nashi.
Dope.
I gotta keep taking out these rares. All right. Then I will play Azusa's Mini Journeys. So there's one of those really recognizable characters that we got to allude to because she's been dead for a while, since it's been 1,200 years. Oh no, I don't have a land for my Go Shintai. But you have no creature. Oh, you have a 3/3. Dang it.
I have a 3/3 defender.
I will pass turn.
Okay, we talked sort of broad strokes about some of the sort of big decisions. I now am curious about you personally. What's something that you were really excited to bring to this Kamigawa, either from the old Kamigawa or something that you saw was missing that you wanted to bring?
Flavoring the sagas, again, is just one of my favorite things. But there were still some characters around. You look at the spirit world. Hidetsugu is a demon now, so I get to bring back Hidetsugu as a card. I remember when that art came in; it was pretty early on too. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I'm talking about the main set, not all the booster fun. Booster fun's pretty awesome too. And then the Dragon Cycle was pretty early on too. Cycles in general, we brought back a lot of cycles because the original Kamigawa had a bunch of them too. So we have the legendary land like I played earlier. We have the shrines. I'm just looking at my board and there's cycles. Then we the dragons. Trying to think of some more. We have the shoals, but they came back as the processions. The one in your graveyard, for example.
Yes. On my battlefield for this turn, though, I'm going to play a Blossom Prancer,
Oh my god.
which, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards in my library, and I may reveal a creature or enchantment from among them and put it into my hand, and then if I fail to find, I get 4 life.
I made that
So
card
that's
too,
nice.
but I'm starting to regret it a little.
Interesting.
I think when I pitched it, though, you just automatically got the life, and I think it was the mana value that it keyed off of. So it was a little stronger when I first suggested it.
Would you believe I have options, and they're all really cool?
Based on your deck so far, I don't not believe it.
All right, enchantment-wise, sure, I will take this Twisted Embrace, which is removal that also makes a creature bigger. I have nothing further to do except make my shrine impotently slightly larger, so go ahead.
All right. I gain 3 life.
From a world-building perspective,
Yeah.
how did you balance the notion of a quote-unquote future cyberpunk-inspired world setting and still have it be Magic the Gathering? Because it feels very much like Magic, despite the neon and the mecha.
I really thought you were going to ask how I balanced work-life balance during that time with all the Kamigawa stuff, and it was rough. But
I'm not the right person to be asking someone about work-life balance. That would be very hypocritical of me. Sorry, what were you saying?
yeah. So the tradition versus modernity thing really helped play into that. If you're a fan of the old style of Kamigawa with the spirits and living in harmony with them, you have that with the enchantment side of things, like kind of what I'm playing, the living historians, literal shrines. But then if you look more at the artifact side, the blue-red, the blue-black ninjas are pretty cybery as well. There's a little bit for both, and it made that really strong contrast. And the things about Kamigawa are still there that you love about Kamigawa. I talked about one of my favorite things on the world building panel was you have the little Aki that is putting his little pass into the little station there, and that art came in and I'm like, okay, we're doing it. This still feels like Kamigawa, even though it's technically advanced. All the creature types you love, everything are still there.
Particularly, I imagine the art direction has to be doing so much heavy lifting to really nail that. Walking that fine line between making things, cool and neon and, there's vectors and it's cyber with, still feeling like a fantasy experience rather than a science fiction one.
And there were a lot of notes around as well. A lot of art direction. Every enchantment creature is a mortal being blessed by a spirit, so it has to have floaties around it. Like look at your archer that's on the board. It has all the floaty bamboo because it's a enchantment creature, and it's got this little piece on its chest, and that's how it's bonded with the kami that it's with. And then spirits are not enchantments, but they still have the floaties. Like I think your deer is a spirit.
Mm-hmm, it is.
Yep, and it has floaties around it. So
it does.
You have little nods like that we had to really watch as art concepts came in.
So flavor-wise, the enchantment creatures are each of them bonded with a spirit.
Yep. That's where they're getting their powers from.
Cool.
And that's why enchantment creatures are back in general. We haven't seen those since Theros, so we really had to solve for that. I think the issue really came when we wanted to flip the sagas over and we wanted them to stay enchantments for your enchantment count.
I think it would have been more unusual for a saga to flip into a creature that wasn't an enchantment, now that I'm thinking about it. But I imagine you had many, many internal discussions about this.
Yes. Imperial Subduer is a 3/2 samurai that whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, tap target creature you don't control. That's the new samurai mechanic. That replaced Bushido as more of an exalted.
So I'm going to untap and draw, and my Boseiju gets exiled into a plant. It's a 0/0 with +1/+1 for each land you control, which once I play my land for the turn is 7. So that's a 7/7 with reach, but it did just enter, so it can't attack.
How many cards do you have in hand?
I have 4 cards in hand.
Oh my gosh, how are you so far ahead?
You
stole my card.
You've designed some very good Magic cards. What can I say? I have a question for you.
Oh no, you're about
Why is this card here? Thundersteel Colossus.
Oh my god, which one is that?
It's a 7/7 with trample and haste that crews for 2.
Oh, wow.
I'm crewing it with my Bamboo Grove Archer, and then I'm
Yep.
going to attack you with it and this 4/4.
All right. I will double block your deer
Fair enough.
and take 7.
Yeah. I will take out the Go Shintai.
All right, I'm down to 9. All right, Azusa, after I draw. Okay, Azusa will become a creature. I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to stop your besiege you. Either of your giant 7/7s.
Then let me distract you further with an additional question. Quite honestly, you know, when we're looking at like Thundersteel Colossus and just like the mecha in general, bringing, you know, much more sort of modern Japanese cultural tropes in, like, you know, mecha. There's some very direct anime references on some of these cards. You know, how,
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's literally a card called You Are Already Dead.
I knew that was the one you're going to bring up.
Of course it is. I didn't know that was in the set until I opened it in my pre-release kit, and I just reflexively said, "Omae wa mo shinde." Like, it caught me so off guard. You know, did you have to like tamp that down at all, or were you like, "Look, folks, it's open season. Let's get all the weeb jokes in here"?
Yeah, I had to be a voice of reason a little bit. You know, in game design, we have a lot of fun with our card names in the set file. A lot of times during this set, because I was on the design team the entire time, Dave Humphreys would just look at me every time we make a new card. He's like, "What is this called? What creature type should this be?" After we just made the card. But sometimes I'd be like, I wouldn't have anything right on the spot, and then one of the other play designers would be like that one, like, "You already did," or they'll make some pop culture reference tropes. And then on the other side, during concepting, we were in the room, you know, where we write the one-line description of every card that we then flesh out and send to the artist. One of the concept writers over there, also a big anime fan, was pushing for things. I know the mechanical DJ was one of her suggestions, and I'm really glad that card's getting some love. I know our cultural consultant was a big fan of that one. All right, I'm going to arrest another thing.
Oh no!
I think I have to arrest the tree.
The tree.
There are some weird phrases in this game. I killed a saga and arrested a tree. Because your 7/7 has trample, though, right?
The vehicle does, yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, I think I have to do that. So now you don't have blockers. I wish this untapped lands when it attacked. Should have designed it better. I will attack with these two.
All right, how much damage is that total?
6 damage.
All right, I go to 9.
Oddly enough, the Azusa Saga and the Boseiju swapped flavors later on in set design. Azusa was originally the one that had the +1/+1 for each land on the back, and then vice versa.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you're at 9.
Unfortunately.
But my Colossus only hits for 7. So what can we do about that? Play another forest. So that arrested plant is now slightly larger. This might be weird, but
Let's get weird.
let's try it. I'm going to crew... Wait. Right, because these can't crew vehicles because
Correct.
they're
They are arrest.
under Intercessor's arrest.
Yep.
So I will use my archer to crew my Thundersteel Colossus.
Okay.
I will attack you with Thundersteel Colossus.
Ninjutsu to only deal me 2 damage.
Ninjutsu, yes.
Oh, really?
It's still gonna deal 6.
Oh no.
I have the Springleaf Avenger.
Oh god.
So it deals 6,
Yeah.
and then I get to return a permanent from my graveyard to my hand.
I'm down to 3.
I wonder if that makes the most sense. I've got like Nashi in there and the Blossom Prancer, but I wonder if I should just get this 1/1 with Death Touch. You know what I will? I'm gonna bring back the Fang of Shigeki,
Okay.
and I will play it. And it's an instant, but I'll do it right now before you untap. I will cast Lethal Exploit targeting Azusa.
That's negative.
So it's -2/-2, and then an additional -1/-1 for each modified creature I control as I cast it. And this shrine is
Yep.
modified by the counters.
Yep.
Ha! I know how to use modified
Yeah, we did
creatures.
it.
Because I have to remind myself, it's equipment, counters, and auras I control, but not auras. So the arrests do not modify those creatures.
That's something we really had to work on.
The counters
The
do.
wording.
So, because, now correct me if I'm wrong, a -1/-1 counter would also modify.
Yes.
Okay.
The original term in playtesting was upgrade, and so that's even more misleading, but modified is, like -1/-1 is modifying its stats, so they did a good job on hitting that kind of neutral term. If you didn't play another creature, I think I had you close to dead.
Oh no.
But I don't think I'm getting out of this.
Well, if my previous PPR experience for the last 3 or 4 of them is anything to go by, I won't have won any other games today. So I'll maybe this is the only way I get to do it, by distracting my opponent with interview
all these
questions.
questions.
Yeah, exactly.
I will attack for 3 and tap your 1/1. And then before damage,
Oh, am I getting ninja'd?
Springleaf Avenger.
What? Hang on. All right, I take 6 and go to 3.
Well, now that we both cast this, I think it's worth talking about.
Please.
One of the creatures almost didn't make it back in the set, and that is the Orochi. I know a lot of the creative team had some aesthetic reasons they want to talk about them. We don't have to get into that today. We talked about that a little in world building panel. But the Orochi almost didn't make it. I really fought for them. I said, some people, that's their favorite creature type, and I really want to get all the creatures back in Kamigawa. But during concept push, it wasn't decided yet. And they worked on these Nantuko insect style creatures as the possible green replacement. But we decided to stay with the Orochi, and Zach Stella, the AD, was like, I still want to use this somewhere, so that's where we get some of these coming from. I don't think I'm getting out of this. I'll get the Goshintai back, and then I'll play the Goshintai.
I feel like I already asked something kind of similar to this, but what's your card? What's your pet card? This is the thing that's in here for Daniel.
That's going to be Goro Goro. It's a little 2-mana legendary goblin. I pitched that entire card design. It got changed a little at the end, but it's the disciple of Ryusei. This was made when the dragons weren't reborn yet. They were still just existing. Like they're going to be reborn, but their forms weren't going to change. They were still going to be the 5 dragons as you knew them.
Right.
But this little guy follows Ryusei. He summons 5/5 dragons. That's why the token is a 5/5 dragon. It's because it mirrors Ryusei, and the art looks like Ryusei and not Atsushi, the new form. But then creative went with my design, and this little goblin just follows Atsushi around, still praising Ryusei and really bothersome to Atsushi. But Atsushi's like, it's another follower, it's fine. And I just love that little goblin a lot.
That's terrific. I like that a lot. Well, in the interest of just being needlessly stylish, I'll put a Twisted Embrace on my Springleaf Avenger and kill your shrine.
Yep.
Since we know I have that anyway, and then I will attack you with Springleaf Avenger.
My Springleaf Avenger is tapped, so you will kill me. I take 7.
Well, thank you for the game.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and thank you for your insight into making this set, and thank you and everybody at Wizards who worked on it, because this is a blast. This is absolutely this set is a lot, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, this was a true passion project. A dream come true to get to make this.
I can imagine. You can't talk about what's going on in the future at Wizards, and we know that, but hopefully you are working on stuff that you find equally exciting going forward.
One of the best things to come out of this, without giving anything away really, is that we now have a modern day Kamigawa. So in ancillary products and things like that, it's easier to pitch. Make a card from this. We got Okagachi, Yuriko, and cards like that in sets like that. But now I can be like, hey, this could be an Orochi from current day Kamigawa. This could be a ninja. Things like that.
Right. So like in a random commander set or in Jumpstart, there could be now cards from Kamigawa again. It's not just sort of relegated to ancient history.
Yeah, and I know fans are wanting more Kamigawa now that we're in the 1 block cadence. They're like, oh, 1 set's not enough, and I'm hoping to sprinkle some more Kamigawa here and there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sprinkling all the Kamigawa that you already have. And thanks for hanging out and chatting with us. We're sorry that you couldn't be here in person, but we're really happy that we got to at least have you dialed into the PPR for a little bit, just to discuss the awesome stuff with the set.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.